And now I'd like to welcome our host for the evening, Sarah Corkery.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Sarah Corkery, and it's so great to see so many faces out. Let's give a round of applause to ourselves. If you don't know me, I ran for the 2nd District this last year against Ashley Henson, and we've had a lot of shakeups since then, so we're so excited to see so many candidates out running. And we want to give away our first raffle prize. You know what to say about it? Oh, good job. Here we go. Our first drawings will be 7 over the course of the time here. Okay. Let's see. It's 4457424. 4457424, and the prize is a nursery from the Teach Nursery. It's a nice little plant. Does somebody have that number? Of that? Okay. If you would like to go over near the pizza tent, that's where you'll get your prize. Is that good for you? Or you take that instead? You want to take these? I'll keep them. Okay. Well, that's great. Okay, we first have a couple of people with Janice Weiner and Representative Ryan Meyer. Here, I would ask them to come to the stage to give a few remarks. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Representative.
What a beautiful venue. What a fabulous crowd. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for having us. My name is Janice Weiner. I am the state senator for District 45, which is actually Iowa City, about 2 hours from here, but couldn't think of a better place to be today. I am the minority leader in the state senate, and we now have one more person coming into our caucus. With that in mind, I wore the Caitlin Dray t-shirt. So I want to thank everybody here who is running, but I especially want to thank all of you who have worked tirelessly year in and year out and who have continued to show up. This is for you, and we are your purveyors of hope now. Because we did it in January when we flipped Senate District 35 and made Mike Zimmer a senator. That was a Trump plus 21 district. And we did it again last week in Woodbury County and Sioux City in a Trump plus 11 district, winning it by more than 10 points. So here are the ingredients. One great candidate, rooted in our community, kitchen table issues that people care about, a homegrown Iowa-powered campaign, 17,000 doors knocked, 30,000 calls made, lots of conversation with neighbors, enough money for lit ads and mailings, a motivated county party and support from the state party, great volunteers, all the earned media possible, lots of good social media content, mixed well, and work like hell till the polls close. So that's the recipe that we use to break the supermajority and fire folks up, and it showed us that we absolutely can win river to river in Iowa. So, we won't win every election, but the winds of change are blowing, and we are organized and all ready to do the work. We're listening to what Iowans really care about, and our colleagues are not. They think they can still use their old playbook and ignore the pocketbook issues and school issues that Iowans really care about. Because as we said in one of Caitlin Dray's ads, something went wrong. Something went wrong for our kids, for our economy, for our rural towns, for our schools, for our workers, for housing and childcare. Something went wrong for our water and our cancer rates, for our health care, and for our state's budget. More than 8 years of Republican rule is what has gone wrong. We need to rebalance the state It's time to fix that and get to work for all Iowans. I operate under a pretty simple premise, and that is that I, as an elected official, am your employee. I represent you and your interests, not the other way around. So we deserve leaders who will put Iowans' interests first, who will focus on policies and politics that are not toxic like our water, will draw people together and keep our young people right here. And we're not seeing that right now. We're not seeing that whether it's for Atumwans, who lost the best Job Corps program in the country, for 105 workers in Osage, where I visited the Fox River Mills factory just a couple years ago. It's been in that community over 100 years, and now it's moving to North Carolina. Or for Iowans all over the state who will be devastated by cuts to SNAP and Medicaid. So I spent over 2.5 decades representing our country abroad as a U.S. diplomat. And along the way, I met people of uncommon courage. Regular people who were determined to make their country a better place to live, to throw off authoritarian shackles, to claw back democracy, and often at great personal risk. So I have no patience for politicians with no spine. They work for us, not the moneyed interests and not some loyalty test. And right now, they're not working for Iowans. Something went wrong, all right. And it's time for us collectively to change that. Every Iowan in every community, no matter where you live, deserves a fair shot and an opportunity to get ahead. So let's all together roll up our sleeves and get to work with some of these great candidates for the state we love. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening this is going to be. Couldn't have asked for better weather. My name's Brian Meyer. I am the minority leader in the Iowa House. Who is fired up for 2026? We are going to win. Let me tell you something, as Janice is traveling, and I see a lot of candidates here that are traveling across the state, people are fired up. Is everybody here fired up? I'm fired up. Let's go. So Iowa House Democrats, let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. We are going to focus on kitchen table issues. We are going to focus on kitchen table issues, like Janice said, that the Senate's going to do. Number one, education. How do we make Iowa number one again in education? That is a top priority for the Iowa House Democrats. The second thing we need to talk about, and we're going to campaign on, is lowering costs. For 10 years, the Republicans have told you they've lowered your property taxes. Has anybody, raise your hand if your property taxes have gone down? Nobody's property taxes have gone down. I heard a few left. But they've been saying for 10 years, oh, we're going to lower property taxes. All it's done is shot them up because they have decided not to fund education. They decided not to fund local services. And the third thing we're going to run on is making Iowa the place where you can raise a family and you can live. And you can live comfortably. Those are the three things that the Iowa House Democrats are going to run on. I know they're going to speak later today, but I wanted my candidates for Iowa House. I saw Layla here, Layla over here. Wonderful, wonderful candidate against Josh Meggers. Where's India? India, over there. All right, India. The person responsible for getting Senator Ernst out of this race. Now you just got to beat Charlie. Charlie Thompson, India. Charlie is a weird dude. I know you can beat him. I want to thank you all. This is going to be a great year for us. Let's go out and win.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead with the second drawing already. So the second drawing is tickets out 4457422. I'll repeat it, 4457422. And this is a Pizza Palace and Fredericksburg gift card. Does anybody have that ticket? Anybody? I'll read it one more time, 4457422. Well, I'm gonna draw again then, just in case. Okay. 4457371. 371. Is that you? Yep, you got it? Okay. It's over there. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Next we have Layla Stanton up and from House 54, followed by Sean Ellerbrook, India May, and Jim Vowell. So if you want to get ready and make your way over this way, we are excited to hear from these candidates. Here we go. Here she comes. You're doing great.
Hello. It's so great to be here, and it's so great that so many people are here. It's so exciting. And thank you for coming, and thank you for having me. This is so exciting. Yay! But I'm going to talk a little bit about my background because I am so policy focused when I speak. And I'm reading off of this because I'm a rambler. But my name is Layla, and I've spent my entire life correcting people on the pronunciation of my name. Thanks, Mom. She's out there somewhere. And I grew up with a single mom who made sure that me and my 3 siblings had everything we needed and everything we wanted. She's fantastic, and she has shown me what hard work looks like. If I could be an ounce of a hard worker as my mom, we've got this in the bag. But when I was a kid, I was sexually assaulted. Sorry for the term. But I was sexually assaulted and spent 3 years in testimony in a rape trial. I was in high school, took a lot of my youth years, but since that ended, I turned around and I advocated in both the Iowa Capitol and in DC about policy we needed to protect children in testimony, essentially, and abortion rights. Yay! And since then, I've been neck deep in politics, is what I like to say. But my name's Layla Staten. I'm running to represent Iowa House 54, which is rural Blackhawk County, Grundy County, and Hardin County. And it's a district that's been deemed unwinnable for so long. I don't think that's true. And even then, even if it were a little bit, which it isn't, all Iowans deserve to have a voice in our government. Do you guys feel like a progressive shift? Like, is there more excited? Like, are you more excited for like progress? Because I can feel it, and I travel throughout the state, and I can feel the progressive shift, and it's really exciting. And I want to give a shout out to the activists and the advocacy organizations across the state, because I leave that to them. They are causing this shift. And I also want to thank everybody who's holding on to like a little bit of hope, because we don't have to settle for this. We don't have to settle for this government, for this administration, at either the state level or the federal level. Now, I know that I am a little, like, surprisingly young. I'm 21, so I'm pretty young to be in this lane of things. And when I decided to run, I reached out to almost everyone I could think of seeking advice. And the main piece of advice that I got was to run like I have nothing to lose. I won't do that because we have a lot to lose. It's not true that there's nothing to lose. Terrible things have happened, and they're going to continue to happen for a little while until the fallout of both administrations come out, and it's going to take decades of hard work to fix. We know that civil rights were stripped away from transgender and non-binary Iowans, and that our public schools are suffering, and that we'll probably all die of cancer. And that a lot of us can't drink the faucet water in our house. And people in my generation will probably not be homeowners anytime soon. But that's just right now. These are things we can fix. We can add gender identity back into the Constitution. We can improve our public schools. And we can hold agribusiness accountable. And we can create jobs to make Iowa a state worth choosing. Because not all of my friends, but a lot of my friends have left the state because of the lack of opportunity. And we can change that. When we elect Democrats statewide. Yay, I'm excited.
Thank you. I hope she inspires all of us to think about running, because when I ran for office, it was my first time too. So thank you so much. Now we have Sean Ellerbert coming, House 57. Seeing him around here. Here he comes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's as high as it goes. Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, everyone. Well, today I see an epicenter of action and change. I'm inspired by all of you who call and write legislators, make signs and demonstrate. And I have renewed hope after Iowa's recent special election results. But to continue that success, we have to mobilize our young Iowans. As a college prof, I witnessed firsthand Iowa's brain drain. Young Iowans who see health problems and loss of rights rather than job opportunities. Every young Iowan who leaves represents an empty seat in a church, a Main Street losing business, and a family scattered across the nation. Younger Iowans are voting with their feet instead of in our elections. Our caucus has to give them a reason to stay, register, and vote. We must meet them where they are at and over issues that impact their daily lives, such as job opportunities, housing, and affordable health care access. We have to be strong in our commitment to improve water quality and loud in our efforts to reduce cancer cases. We need to speak clear truth through simple statements. Voter rejection of establishment politics and practices, frankly on both sides of the aisle, have led us to this mess, and frankly, we need candidates who inspire and break the mold. Now, in a tough bit of words, I'm going to say I wish I had more faith in the National Democratic Party, who has all but alienated labor, our youth, and who I'm pretty sure couldn't organize a birthday party, let alone a national caucus and agenda. But I have faith in you, Iowans. More than ever, we need state party leaders who organize efforts and undo the damage done to Iowa. Leaders who recognize rural races operate on different playing fields than urban centers. I can't tell you how many social media drops from Des Moines that I got last year as a candidate that I could not use because the message would not resonate with my rural constituents. And let's connect rural candidates early to compare work, to define what is a good message whenever practical. Iowans should not have to choose between staying and job opportunities, between staying and their health, or civil liberties. I know we can make Iowa a place where once again our rivers run clean and our communities run on hope. That is why today I'm standing before you to humbly and officially announce my candidacy for Iowa House Representative District 57. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna say it. Pat Grassley, we got some work left to do. I'm telling you. I would very much love and appreciate your support. May God bless us in the hard work that lies ahead, and thank you for being here today.
Next, we want to bring to the stage India May, who's recently made some headlines. Here she comes. Welcome, India May.
Hello, my friends, my neighbors, and my allies in this fight. We stand together today on this beautiful September day on rich Iowa soil, soil that was stolen from the Meskwaki, Iowa, Ho-Chunk, and Dakota, to whom we owe our protection and respect in practice and in policy. And we have not forgotten the bloody history of America's fight for freedom in these last 250 years. And we can celebrate and honor the beauty of our great nation and still refuse to repeat its bloody history. So thank you for being here today. We all know that for over a decade now, Republican leadership has treated the lives of Iowans like they're for sale to monopolies that poison our water and our farmers. Too many Iowa families face the terror of a new cancer diagnosis, and too many of them are deciding between debt or death. This is a policy failure. From the Iowa House, I will support efforts to stop the mass poisoning and get every Iowan the care they deserve. Thank you. Our mental health care system is stretched thinner than any other state. This is a policy failure. From the Iowa House, I will champion prevention, treatment, and recovery services. Iowa taxpayer dollars meant for public schools are being siphoned to the private sector as the legislature micromanages, demonizes, and punishes educators. This is a policy failure. From the Iowa House, I will advocate for our teachers and genuine evidence-based methods to take back Iowa's top marks in public education. Thank you. A promise was made to these teachers and to our firefighters and our public servants, including us librarians, to dedicate our lives to our state. And IPERS is that promise. And I will fight tooth and nail against any politician who tries to break that promise. Our Republican trifecta sold off our incredible public education to private religious schools. Our Republican trifecta sold off our health and well-being to privatized insurance and pharmaceutical companies. Our Republican trifecta sold off our family farms and the safety of our drinking water to big ag. We have 423 days until the next election. 423 days to break the Republican trifecta and to take back our state. So for the next 423 days, they will keep trying to sell us out, lie about it, and silence us with every dirty trick in the book. And every speaker that you see here today is prepared to be slandered and even threatened. Not one of us can save Iowa on our own. They think that if they can bombard us, they can fatigue us into submission. They think we're too tired. Are we tired? No! They think we're too divided. Are we divided? They think that we'll forget. Have we forgotten what they've done? No! That's right. So I get that hope can seem like something that some of us can still afford right now. But here in Iowa, hope is what stands between us and a collapsed economy, between us and a gutted healthcare system, and between us and starving farmers. My name is India May. It's great to meet you. And I currently work as a library director and a death investigator. My grandparents are farmers in Ionia, the great metropolis, and both my parents worked in disability advocacy. So I cut my teeth on rallying and protesting back when the ADA was pretty new. I've worked in disability advocacy for a while, and then housekeeping, hairdressing, mental health nursing, and caring for elderly folks and kids as a nurse. My goal in life was to be a quiet professional and stay away from politics, to always work a job where I can help people and to pray for a better world for my child. And now I'm running for the Iowa House of Representatives because the world won't get better until we make it better ourselves. Thank you. So I'm going to challenge everybody here, because it seems like we're all pretty like-minded, connect with the people here that you haven't met yet, because we are all on the same team for the next 423 days. Same mission, different talents, and that's a wonderful blessing. So we're going to build something that they cannot gut or cut beyond the next 423 days, no matter what kind of bigoted legislation they cook up in the next session. So if you believe that kids deserve to read what they want, if you believe that we deserve wages that we can live on and safe water to drink, if you believe that your body and your mind are not state assets for sale, then let's get to work.
I will bring Jim Vowles to the stage. I think we see him over there. And, you know, part of this day has come about because there were 4 counties that got together right after the election and said, we want to do something. So those people from 4 counties have been showing up every month and planned this. If you're part of any of those meetings or any part of planning, just raise your hand so we can acknowledge you. So Jim, welcome, come on up. Yep.
You don't pull on Superman's cape. My name is Jim Vowles, and I am running for Senate District 29. And that's the great county of Chickasaw, where we are, Floyd, Butler, and Bringer. So. I just started my 34th year as a high school teacher. 28 of those have been at Waverly Shell Rock. So education is a big deal to me, so I'm going to talk a lot about that. But what I'm not going to talk about are vouchers. I'm not going to talk about how poor the school funding has been. I'm not even going to talk about the dismantling of our area education agencies. What I'm going to talk about is how over the last 10 plus years, Republicans have purposefully picked and eroded at the trust that once existed between teachers and their communities. They have painted teachers as villains who line their bookshelves with pornography. They've accused teachers of openly promoting non-traditional lifestyles that they find offensive. They want to whitewash history, and I emphasize whitewash history. You clap for that. That was a good one. What they really want to do is control curriculum. They want to control the narrative. They want to control everything. And I don't know about you, but I'm damn tired of being controlled by the Republicans. I want a government that will trust and support teachers, administrators, and elected local boards of education. And I want a government that is more concerned about the needs of Iowa children and less about what bathroom they use. I had several family members with me here tonight. My wife Patty is running the gift table over there. She works at Zoetis in Charles City. And I have 3 daughters, a son here, and I'm really happy and honored that they are here today. Isn't it a shame, though, that we live under a government that thinks it has the right to legislate who they love? Isn't it a shame that our daughters, my daughters, have less rights today than their mothers did at their age? From my heart, I tell you that government has no authority to decide who my children love and who my children marry. From my heart, I tell you that when my wife and adult daughters have a conversation with their doctor, government has no right to be in that conversation. Ever since I started thinking about running, I've had person after person who was encouraging me first, but say, Jim, it's going to be an uphill battle. This is a very red area. You're going to have a hard time. My friend Al is fond of saying, they have all the money, Jim. And I respond with, yeah, but they have all the records. And they're going to have to live up to it. Our current state senator, Sandy Salmon, that's who I want to be. She uses her position to legislate morality. She uses her chair in the Senate chamber as a pulpit. When that chair becomes mine, it will no longer be a seat from which you will be judged. It'll be a seat from which real work will be done for Iowans. Iowans who deserve a senator who will not preach, but will listen, lead, and deliver. Thank you for being here today. I want to thank all the people that worked hard to get this done. Guys, if we can't take advantage of all the crap that's going on right now, I don't know if we're ever going to get a better chance.
That's right.
You have to make hard conversations with your Republican friends. They don't need one conversation, they need 12. And what did Indy say, 423 days? You got a lot of time, and you got to start. You've got to lean into the uncomfortable, because we can't win just depending on Democrats. We need independents. We need Republicans that are fed up with the crap that they've had to deal with. And it's okay for, I just talked to a good friend of mine yesterday. He said, Jim, I've been a Republican all my life. I can't vote for you. And I said, okay, but you don't have to vote for her. Have courage, Democrats. Have courage. Talk to your family members. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. Get your toe in the door. Be prepared. We can do this. We will not be given a better chance. Thank you very much. My name is Jim Dowd. I hope you vote for me next year as your next Iowa Senator. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to do a drawing again, so we will draw for another prize. I think you should draw this prize. How's that? So, okay, this one is 4457308, ends in 308. Anybody have that ticket? 308? Is it you? No, you're fixing something else. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll do 4457454. 4457454. Back there. Oh, great. Okay, head over there. And this is The Fiddle Leaf, thank you for this sponsorship. The paper artist who has it, thank you. The Fiddle Leaf is item from Charles City, thank you very much. Wonderful. Great, our next two speakers, first will be Nate Wilms for Iowa Attorney General, and then Ryan Peterman for Iowa Secretary of State. So we'll ask Nate to come on up and give his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nate Willems. I live in Mount Vernon with my wife and our 3 daughters. My wife Maggie is a high school social studies teacher and volleyball coach. I'm a labor lawyer in Cedar Rapids. I'm running for Attorney General to beat Brenna Bird. Every day I go to work. I go to work for regular working Iowans. I help Iowans who've been hurt on the job in workers' compensation cases. People come to me, come to my office, and I help them get the medical care that they need and the checks to keep coming in so that they can pay their bills. When someone first comes into my office, typically they're bringing to me their biggest problem in the world, and I'm happy to go to work for them. I also represent unions in Iowa, public sector and private sector, from Carter Lake to Clinton County, from Cedar Falls down to Keokuk. I won the biggest ever union wage increase in Iowa history for the Carter Lake police officers. I won back 64 union custodial jobs at Rockwell Collins, which had been wrongfully outsourced. And for the past 15 years or so, I've proudly been the lawyer for the only unionized university professors in the state of Iowa, United Faculty at UNI. So when Iowa workers have the courage to stand up and stick together in a union, I'm happy to go to work for them. I also represent workers who've had wages stolen from their paychecks. I've represented hundreds of grain millers at a facility whose job it was to walk inside that facility miles every week, not getting paid. I spent several years representing workers at university hospitals. UIHC used to have a policy which amounted to taking an involuntary zero-interest loan out of workers' paychecks every month. They would put on the website, sure, we pay overtime. Our policy is to pay overtime 1 month in arrears. Overtime worked in September will not be paid in October, but will appear in your November paycheck. It violated Iowa law. We got to put together a class action of 11,000 workers. We recovered $15 million for them, and now UIHC follows the law. Okay. So I'm thrilled to represent workers who've had their paychecks shorted, but what I do is just play whack-a-mole, because there's $900 million a year stolen from Iowa workers' paychecks. People who sell their lives by the hour, who work for a living, deserve to get paid for every single hour of work. But if they're forced to work off the clock, if they're not paid overtime, if there are illegal deductions on that pay stub, or their tips are stolen, or they're misclassified as an independent contractor, those are crimes. That's stealing. That ought to be prosecuted. We've had a law in the state of Iowa for a very long time that says theft is illegal. We've had a law that for much longer than that says thou shalt not steal. I'm running for Attorney General because I want to investigate and prosecute corporations that steal from their workers. You may or may not know, it's a felony in the state of Iowa for a business to not carry workers' compensation insurance. Forgery is also a felony. But all too often in my practice, I talk to people who, they got hurt on the job, but there's no work comp insurance to pay their medical bills, so you all pay their medical bills. Or I talk to people who say, yeah, I've seen my manager alter my time card so that I don't get paid overtime. These are crimes which ought to be prosecuted. The Attorney General's office is, the way I look at it, it's the largest law firm in the state of Iowa, and it's the only one that's supposed to represent regular Iowans. It does so many critical things, from prosecuting the most violent felonies, to representing the state when the state is sued, and providing guidance to all manner of state government. But what could we do with an Attorney General's office that was also dedicated to representing regular Iowans, regular working Iowans? I think that not only could we put more money in workers' paychecks, but we could also bring more dignity to the workplace. So I was not, years ago, I had the opportunity to serve in the legislature. And, I wasn't successful in every issue I took on in the legislature. I haven't won every case as a lawyer. And I know that when I'm elected Attorney General, we'll have stumbles along the way. But one of the teachings of my church, First Presbyterian in Mount Vernon, is that it is our duty, it's our job, not only to comfort the afflicted, but to also afflict the comfortable. And when that is your mission statement, you're not going to win every battle. But why not suit up and take on some of those battles? We have laws on the books that can be utilized to rein in corporations when they try to roll over regular Iowans. Let's dust them off, repurpose them, and put them to work, see what we can accomplish. I know who I am. I'm somebody who gets fired up to go to work every day on behalf of regular working Iowans. We know how challenging it can be to win a statewide race in Iowa these days, but I feel with everything in my being that the most important thing that I can do with my time and my abilities over these 18 months is to run for and win election as your next Attorney General. So I need to ask for your help. This is my literature. Grab one on your way out. There are about 6 different ways that you can contact us, and I think I know how to use about 3 or 4 of them. Or you can just go to natewillems.com. We'd love to be in contact with you. If you wanted to send us a few dollars, we'd love that too. We'd love for you to sign our petitions to get my name on the ballot, and certainly, above all else, love to see you again very soon. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Our next speaker is Ryan Peterman, running for Iowa Secretary of State. Please come on board.
This is as high as it goes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. Thanks for having me out here. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Ryan Peterman, and I am running to be Iowa's next Secretary of State. I just want to take a few minutes to tell you about me, tell you about why I decided to run and step up for this race. I grew up a few hours from here out in the Quad Cities, went to Bettendorf High School, and growing up, my family, my friends, my teachers and coaches, they all taught me a lot of important lessons growing up. It was things like, look out for your friends and your neighbors. They taught me the importance of public service, the importance of hard work, the importance of serving some cause greater than your own self-interest. And those are values I took on board, and I think they're central to who I am. And I also think they're values that we should demand from our elected officials and our public servants in office. And sadly, that's not what we're getting right now when you look at Des Moines and when you look at DC. And it's time for that to change. So when I graduated from high school, with those lessons in mind, the importance of public service, I decided I wanted to go to the Naval Academy, and I was lucky enough to get in. Ultimately, I went on to become a Navy pilot, and I spent a few years flying helicopters out in San Diego. And I deployed with the Carrier Strike while I was out there. And I had the opportunity to lead sailors both at sea and back at home. And I learned a lot about good leadership in the process. I learned that good leadership, it's not about who shouts the loudest, and it's not about the rank on your shoulder or the ribbons on your chest. To me, good leadership is showing up. It's about doing the work. It's about letting your people know they matter, and it's about accomplishing their mission. And those are all things I promised to bring to the Secretary of State's office once elected. So a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to get out of the Navy. I knew I wanted to come back home to Iowa. Most of my family still lives in and around the Quad Cities, and I wanted to be home. I wanted to take care of my dad, who unfortunately has some health issues. But when I moved back last year, I realized a couple things. One of those things was that I missed public service being part of my life. I missed that sense of fulfillment, that sense of helping others that I had when I was in the Navy. And the second thing I realized was that Iowa had changed quite a bit since I left for the Navy in 2009. And sadly, it hasn't changed for the better. If you look around, our once proud public schools, first in the nation, are middle of the pack. We seem to be okay with that. We have some of the highest cancer rates, one of the worst economies, and oh, by the way, we're making it harder for people to vote. And that issue right there, that's a lot of why I decided to run for Secretary of State. So I believe we should man, and we deserve a Secretary of State who use it as their primary responsibility to stand up for the right of all Iowans to make their voice heard at the ballot box. And again, we're not getting that right. We've seen a shortening of the time period we have to cast our ballot, and if you just look back a couple weeks now, we've seen attacks on mail-in voting. And as somebody who voted by mail for all of my career in the Navy, it's an essential way so many of us need to make our voices heard, whether it's folks serving their country in uniform like Iowa's, whether it's people with disability issues, the elderly, students away at college, people working 2 and 3 jobs just to put food on the table that can't get away from work for an hour or two to go make their voice heard down at their polling place. We need to protect the right to vote for the 681,000+ Iowans that voted absentee last year. And we need a Secretary of State, again, who views it as a primary job to protect that right to vote for all Iowans. I promise that's what I'll do as Secretary of State, and I'm going to wrap up here shortly, but I know I can't do it alone. So I just please ask that you guys talk to your friends and your neighbors about the importance of this race and about the importance for bringing change back to Iowa. I would greatly appreciate that. If you go to my website, you can read a bit more about me. You can sign up to volunteer, pitch in a few bucks if you can. Thank you all so much for having me out here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you a lot between now and next November.
Okay, we're going to give away another door prize. This is number 4. Okay, and this is from Natural Suds and Body. Okay, here we are. It is 4457306, ending 306. Gosh, I feel like it's bad luck for me right now. Yeah, we'll say it one more time. 4457306. Four, 438. 438. I'm looking for any hands. At this point, you could just put your hand up.
Yeah, here it is. There it is.
Great. Okay, you can head over to the prize area. I am honored to bring up our next guest, Julie Stouch, who is a gubernatorial candidate, and I'll actually let the music play a little bit for her, so I'll step back.
Hi everybody, I'm Julie Stouch. I have applied for the job of governor, and normally I would say I'm here for my job interview, but there are way too many of you right now to do a job interview, which is a great problem because it's a great crowd. And thank you so much for being out and supporting your county parties and the work you do here to help all the candidates on the ticket. A few of the folks tonight have referenced hope and what gives them hope. And I want to tell you just a quick story. I drive Interstate 35 north and south frequently. My husband and I used to live in Mason City. Now we live in West Des Moines, and I know it almost blindfold. So a couple weeks ago, when I was driving north, probably for the Wingding, but there's quite a few events up there, I noticed that when you know how when Highway 20 comes across over 35 north, there's a sign that's always in the field to the right when you're northbound. And it's been, for the last 10 years, a massive Trump sign. And it is no longer there. Instead, it's a George W. Bush sign. So what does that tell you? It tells me the farmer is still a Republican, but he's no longer voting for Trump. Okay? That means there might be somebody there we can talk to. So if you're asking for a sign from God for hope, that's a damn good sign. So what I have done for the last 3 months, since I announced in early June, is I have been out truly having interview sessions with people where it's, I'm a recovering teacher, and so I make them fill out worksheets, but I save the worksheets, we don't grade them, but we do, in fact, record them. And just yesterday, I published on Bleeding Heartland what I've learned from these conversations over the summer, 27 of them over the last 3 months. I don't talk a lot in those. I do talk a lot otherwise, but not in those, because I'm listening, and I'm listening deeply and taking notes. And what I have learned is that, and I think this is important for all our campaigns, what I've learned is that the mythology of rural-urban divide amongst Democrats is just that. It's mythology. It's not fact. And here's how I know that. When I'm asking, what do you want the next governor to accomplish? The same things come up in every conversation. They don't necessarily come in the same order, but the top 5 are the top 5. Clean water, public schools, healthcare, a ton of issues under healthcare, poverty, and then clean soil, because that impacts our water, and then the last one is clean air, which it looks like we have today. And so I think we have an opportunity to win when we focus on what brings everybody together. And so, and these issues are not just issues that Democrats care about. These are issues that anybody who's registered any other way, or even people who aren't yet registered, care about these issues. They care because they value where they live and they value the people they work with. So this is going to be a great way to connect people and start a dialogue, and telling with you guys and me and all the other candidates, telling why we care about these matters. So I hope you'll take a look at the Bleeding Heartland piece. I also hope that you will consider supporting me. Now I'm going to tell you about myself. I am a 5th generation Iowan. I was born in Ames. We moved out of state when I was in 3rd grade. The brain drain is not new, folks. My dad couldn't find a job here. We ended up in New York State, where I went to elementary school. I walked to school every day. Then we moved to Seville, Ohio, very rural. I rode the bus 1 hour each way, twice a day. And it was quite the change. That was 7th grade. And then 8th grade, we moved to rural North Carolina. And that's where Dad got to do his dream job, and he opened greenhouses and said, oh, and by the way, girls, you have to work 20 hours a week while you're doing everything else in your school stuff. And so we did that, and I've been working since 8th grade. I like working. I've also been a problem solver my whole life. I joke, but it's really not a joke, but I've been a problem solver my whole life because I am the oldest child, and I had two younger sisters who fought all day, every day. And Mom was always saying to me, Julie, will you please go break them apart? And so that's where my problem solving skills started, but they've gone on. I've done this professionally on campaigns, but also for clients. And right now, what Iowa most needs in the governor's office is a problem solver. And that's what I want to do, and that's why I've stepped forward to do this. There are a lot of big problems that need to be solved, and I am ready to take them on. And I'm ready to work with all of you to change the direction of our state, because it's screwed up on every level. So with that, I think I'll just wrap up and say you can, I do have a few cards, if you'd like a card, but check my website out, Julie Stauch, S-T-A-U-C-H, for Iowa, for all Iowans. I do know my website.com, and that I hope you would consider signing up. If you have not filled out one of the first round petitions, the next round changes. And so our questionnaires, you can go on there and fill out a questionnaire there if you'd like to as well. And we are taking those and we're going to keep adding them into the mix. And then starting this week, we're doing phase 2, where we're going back out around the state by the community college districts to make sure we get a full coverage of the state. And we will be talking with people, okay, we know these are the problems. What does fixing the problem look like where you live? Because I think too often the fixes have been too narrow and they only fit a few places. So I want to know, what does it need to be in your area so that we can actually design solutions that fit. I think if you haven't already noticed, I'm not like the most exciting speaker. I was raised Southern Baptist, but I really don't feel like preaching to you all. But what I can say is I'm a worker and I get shit done.
Wonderful, and now I'm proud to bring to stage Rob Sand. Please come on up.
Howdy, everybody. How you doing? Good. I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for having me, Gail. Thanks for putting this together. Can we get a round of applause for our hosts too? What a great spot. Fantastic. I'm glad you're all here today. A lot of people are talking about hope. One thing gives me hope: doing work. There's a great quote. My mom has it in her email signature. Action is the antidote to despair. Are you worried about how things are going? Well, knock doors. Are you reading headlines that you don't like? Start texting your friends about political candidates. There are easy ways to make a difference, and at the end of the day, what we know is that we want to have certainty. And the certainty is that when the outcome comes, that we are certain that we have done everything that we can do to push things in the right direction, right? And I know that we can do that. And that is exactly what I am doing by choosing to run for governor of the state of Iowa in 2026. We have work to do. If you don't know much about me, my name is Rob Sand. I was born and raised in Decorah. My dad and his family are from Winnesheek County since we got on a boat from Norway. My wife, Christine, her family's from Denison area. She's Danish, so it's a mixed marriage. And we've got 2 little boys. Axel is 9 and Tate is 11. No diapers, no naps, no teenagers. Highly recommend that. Yeah. I'm not gonna give you my entire bio, but I will tell you, growing up in a small town, I did a lot of things that people in small towns do. My dad would take me fishing and hunting, and we'd be in church every Sunday. Those to me sound like things that are just things that ordinary Iowans do. Some folks want to tell you they belong to a political party. I don't think they do. And when I registered to vote, I first registered as an independent. I like the idea that we would think for ourselves. Am I a Democrat? Yes, I am. I registered as a Democrat when I needed to vote in a primary because I think that Jesus is for the little guy. And I remember Bill Clinton balancing the budget and using the surplus to pay down the debt. Seems like common sense. And I was a teenager at the time, and I was thinking, thanks, because I don't want to have to take care of all that myself. My work after finishing my education has been 7 years as the chief public corruption prosecutor in Iowa, so that's the Iowa Film Office tax credit scandal, prosecuted those cases. That's the largest lottery rigging scheme in American history. I led the investigation that uncovered it and the prosecution that led the mastermind to prison for it. Now, when I read the bill that created the school vouchers program in the state of Iowa, I was thinking exactly about those experiences because I have prosecuted a lot of public corruption, and it is oftentimes rooted in systems that do not provide checks and balances. That is exactly where my mind went when I read that law. Because there is no oversight for how these private schools spend your tax dollars. That to me is unbelievable. It's unacceptable. So I went out from my office in the Capitol building, and I found one of the guys that lobbies for the voucher bill, and I read it to him. I laid it out. This is how this works. And I said, so at the end of the day, there's no rules but one for how this money gets spent. And I was waiting for him to say something like, oh my goodness, we hadn't realized that. And instead he says, yeah, we know, we don't want public oversight of private schools. Well, I want public oversight of public money. That seems to me to be pretty straightforward, pretty much common sense. Maybe just the most important thing the government can do for its citizens is tell them how their money is getting spent. Plain and simple. What I did in our first term as state auditor is we uncovered a record amount of misspent money, a record amount. And folks, we did it because we had a senior leadership team that was a Democrat, an independent, and a Republican. And the independent and the Republican had actually made campaign contributions to my opponent in 2018. I like having them on board. I think that's good. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And when we work together, I think we get better outcomes. But in Des Moines, they're pretty sure that, nope, there's only one way to think, and anyone else who's got other ideas, they ought to get set aside. So after the people of Iowa re-elected me as your state auditor, thank you, then the insiders down in Des Moines literally changed the rules to make it harder for us to find misspent money. Unbelievable. 8 different categories of documents that the auditor's office can no longer look at. And a dispute resolution where we no longer get to go to court if we have a dispute. Now we would go to a 3-person arbitration panel. 1 person at the state agency we're auditing, 1 person from our office, and the 3rd person appointed by the governor. You don't need to be an accountant to work the math on this one, folks. This is silly season. This is a joke. Right? Every single auditing entity, every single government watchdog, Democrat, Independent, Republican, who weighed in on this in the entire country, said this law will increase waste, fraud, and abuse of tax dollars. I don't really need to tell you that the experts said that, because you know it. It's common sense. You say the auditor can't look somewhere, what do you think is going to happen? You all drove here. You're going to drive home. Let's say you look in your rearview mirror and the sheriff's deputy is behind you. Where do your eyes go next?
Speedometer.
That's right. One guy one time said, beer can. He understood. He's just on a different level than the rest of us. But now let's say that they had a rule, okay, no law enforcement allowed to patrol on county roads. Well, what do you think is going to happen on county roads? That's literally what they've done with the auditor's office. What have you gotten out of it while the folks down in Des Moines, while they're trying to literally block us from finding the money they're going to misspend? We have an economy that is in 49th place in America for economic growth. Personal income growth, it is 48th place in the country. A cancer growth rate that is #1 in the country, and an education system that is an embarrassment to this state's heritage. When I was growing up in Decorah, I was so proud every year to see the ITBS scores come out, and we were always at the top, right? But what are they doing now? They're funding a private education system. They're spending $100 million on the wealthiest families in Iowa to give them money to send their kids to the schools they were going to send them to anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're paying money to somebody for something they would do for free, stop. I can't believe it. And this is one of those moments that makes me think of one of my favorite stories from the New Testament. And I know why this story was one of my favorites. It's the story of Jesus flipping over the tables of the money changers at the temple. Because normally he would say, hey, turn the other cheek, love your enemy, right? Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, heal the sick. But boy, he got really angry one time, didn't he? And that's why it stuck out to me. Because he saw people in a position of trust and people in a position of power who were abusing their trust and power in order to enrich themselves, rather than taking care of the people they were supposed to be looking out for. And so he flipped their tables over. We have some work to do. There are some heavy tables in Des Moines that need flipping right now, so I'm going to need your help in this campaign. But I can tell you that this campaign is taking off like a rocket. Our message is very simple, not redder or bluer, but better and truer. We want an Iowa that is focused on the values that we teach our children, not just cheerleading for one party or another. But when people hear that, they come alive. I was walking in a mall in Cedar Rapids, and a guy said, I'm 28, I'm going to register to vote for the first time. I've never voted to vote for you. And the reason was because of that message. There was a man who wrote an op-ed saying he hopes the whole state of Iowa is listening to this message because it might finally be something that changes the awfulness of our politics right now. That man that wrote that op-ed was literally in Governor Kim Reynolds' cabinet, recommended for that job by Joni Ernst. There are people who are non-voters and people who are insiders alike who are ready for change in the state of Iowa, but if we are going to deliver that change, we need to have your help in spreading this message. So please go to robstand.com, sign up to volunteer, donate. If you've donated before, thank you. You may now donate again. And help us get the message out. I will be in every one of these counties up here in October because we're doing 100 public town halls this year. We're doing 100 next year. We don't hide. We tell people we're coming. We tell them months in advance. Please help us by helping us spread the word. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being active.
Okay, we're ready for the next prize. Okay, we still have really, really tasty food. So please get up and get some loaves of love over up to the left with the blue top. They I know have Venmo. We have both Bosley's grilled cheese and homemade root beer right behind them. And I think they are just like Goodwill donation, but give them a lot of money because I have one of those. And then Timber Top Pizza. So get yourself some more of that while you're here. This is from the 275th in Claremont. Okay, and the number is 4457467. Looking. 4457467. Anybody? Ready? Okay. 4457443, ending 443. Well, pretty good luck on round 2. That one? Okay, yay! Follow, yep. There you go. Yay, Anton, thank you. Great. Okay, and are you coming on up? Gail, wonderful.
We interrupt these wonderful messages to bring you a blue bucket. Just like church, it's time for the offering. So we're going to pass our little blue bucket around because all of these people that are running can't do this without financial backing. So anything that we collect in our bucket tonight is going to go to our local candidates that are running here in our 4 counties, which is Senate District 29. So Mr. Fowles, Ms. India, and Mr. Sean will all benefit from your generosity tonight. But I also want to bring attention to the back of your programs because every single candidate's website is listed there, along with your county website. I shrunk the county ones to a tiny URL so you didn't have as much to type in. But please, we cannot continue. I mean, we're a farm family, but we're not a rich farm family. We don't have those big backers like some of the Republican candidates do. We just don't. So every small donation adds up, and it really does make a big impact. And these guys, these are great people. They're taking time out of their lives to do this. The littlest thing that we could do is give them $5. If you want to do more, you're more than welcome to talk to me because we can find things for you to do. We've got big plans going with our 4-county group. So feel free to come second Sunday every month to Nashua, 2 o'clock. We meet behind the museum right by the Little Brown Church. We've got big plans. This is the first big event we've done. We've got more to come. We need to be an active party in this part of the state because we've got good people here. We've got great people here. I met them when I ran last year, so I know they're here. We just need to get energized and get active again because we can't do this without you. So here comes the offering plate. Amanda's gonna be on one side or the other, and I will too, and we'll have to pass it down the pews. And I'll let Sarah take back over.
Thank you. So yeah, Gail and I are both a part of this group, as are some others. Sean has been a part of this group. And you know, we didn't win our last elections, and we're still meeting and still working all the time to keep this going because we believe so much in this. So I'm pleased to announce some of our federal candidates next. We will start with Nathan Sage, followed by Zach Walls, then Josh Tripp, and a representative from Jackie Norris campaign. So come on up and we'll get that music.
There we go with some good music finally. Okay. My name is Nathan Sage. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to Gail. Thanks for everybody putting this on, all the volunteers doing this. If I can talk. Volunteers doing this. I also want to give a shout out to Layla, Sean, India, and Jim. Those are the soldiers on the ground trying to fight, right? Those are the candidates that we need at the state level to stand up and fight for us and catch the grenades in the dirt, you know what I mean? So, my name is Nathan Sage. I tend to get everybody a little riled up. I'm going to try not to cuss on this one, so I'm going to tell you who I am, what I'm doing, and why the hell. I used to say Joni Ernst needs to go, but now Ashley Hinson needs to get out of the way. That's one high five. Okay. High five. Air high five. My name is Nathan Sage. I'm running for United States Senate. Why? Because I grew up in North Iowa like all of you, but I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a trailer park there on the west side of Mason City, and I never thought I'd be standing here having a conversation with all of you. I never once thought I'd be able to stand up and fight for what I believe in until I did it. When I graduated high school, I went to the United States Marine Corps in 2003. Got stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in 2004 and went to Iraq when I was 19 years old in 2004. If I walked 10 seconds slower, I would not be here. I grew up watching my dad work double shifts at Minnesota Rubber in Mason City, and my mom, a daycare teacher, working her butt off at Charlie Brown Daycare in Mason City. The only way we could make it was watching them work their butts off to get there. I knew that college was out of the realm of possibility for me. Like I said, the Marine Corps came calling, I took the call. I stood on the yellow footprints at MCRD San Diego. I swore to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, and I meant it. Thank you. I'm standing here now because at the same time in our history, we're watching our democracy fall, and it's about damn time we had somebody stand up and fight for it, right? It's about damn time we had somebody that didn't sit on the sidelines and throw snowballs from the cheap seats or write strongly worded letters or sit on their hands and watch everything crumble. I've been fighting my whole life. That's what I do. I stand up and I say enough is enough. We're not going to keep doing this anymore. There's a lot of people in this world that don't have a voice. There's a lot of people in this world that are screaming for help. Those are the same people that seems like they're getting kidnapped off the streets or their rights are being taken away. Yes. That's the reality for all of us. We're working class people trying to make it in this world, and it seems like this administration and the world we live in it doesn't want us. We've been lied to and let down by politicians that have been bought and paid for by corporations and billionaires. I don't have any money. I pay rent. My wife works at a McCoy True Value in Indianola. I'm standing here in front of you because at the same time, somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to say enough is enough. We're not going to keep doing this anymore. We need to fight for higher wages, lower health care costs, and to make child care actually affordable in this world. When I tell you that I grew up in poverty, when I was 14 years old on my birthday, my dad came into my bedroom and he said, "Nathan, I'm sorry, we can't get you birthday presents this year." When I was 15 years old, I had to boil water on the stove to be able to take a bath because we couldn't afford to get the water heater fixed. In 2007, my dad passed away of cancer at 54 years old. 2022, my mom passed away of cancer at 67 years old. I know what hard work gets you in this state. An early grave is what it looks like. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching friends and family die. I'm tired of watching all these people struggle in this world that shouldn't be struggling. The reality of the world is we don't want a whole bigger piece of we don't want the whole pie. We just want a bigger piece of it. We need to make life affordable for people to be able to get opportunities and live in this world. We need to make it where people can actually afford to go to school and not have to cut off an arm and a leg. We need to make it where we actually can get somewhere in our healthcare system and not die young. In 2006, my dad got sick. A sister called me up and she said, Nathan, you need to talk to your dad. I said, why? And she goes, oh, he's not able to eat. I talked to my dad, and my dad said, I'm not able to do it. I'm not able to eat. I'm having issues. I said, okay, we'll go to the hospital. I can't afford it. Not going to go. In 2007, in February of 2007, my sister calls, you need to call your dad and talk to your dad. He's lost about 60 pounds. I said, Dad, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go get seen. I can't afford it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. In April of 2007, my dad called me himself. And he said, you'll be happy, Nathan. I'm actually going to go to the hospital. I'm going to go get seen. I said, good. He goes, actually, I'm having surgery tomorrow. Oh, so you're already overseen. And he goes, yeah, they think I have a blockage in my intestines. Worst case scenario, I'll be crapping out of bag the rest of my life. Made a joke. The next day at 5:30 in the morning, my mom called me and said, your dad has days to weeks to live. That was April 20th of 2007. My dad passed away May 6th. My dad worked double shifts to provide for me and my sisters and my brother. He worked his butt off. He was an Air Force veteran. He did all he could. I watched a friend of mine who was also with me in the Marine Corps, was my roommate, as well as my roommate in Iraq. He is in prison right now for 25 years. Because he got out of the military and was doing all he could to support himself, trying to figure it out, but he fell into that area of drugs and alcohol and mental health crisis. Because for a lot of people out there in this world, they're struggling every single day to make it. They're trying to figure out how to support their family, how to put food on the table. They're trying to do all they can in a world where it seems like nobody wants them, and they end up breaking. And I'm done watching people die. I'm done watching people struggle. I'm done watching a world where we were promised one thing and we're given another lie. My friend now is in prison for 25 years because he shot through a door and shot a cop in the shoulder. Because he couldn't get the help he needed when he needed it. He suffered from PTSD, he went into drug abuse and alcoholism. I'm a working class guy. I'm a regular guy. My story's not different than anybody else's. I'm just have the ability to stand up here and say enough is enough. We're not going to keep doing it anymore. I can say we're going to put our hands down and lift people up and raise our fingers up to the top and say enough's enough. Get your damn thumb off the scale. We need to work for people. We need to fight for people. We need to stand up and actually do something instead of these strongly worded letters. We need people to stand together. We need to have hard conversations with people we really don't want to have conversations with. We need to bring more people to the fold and understand there's somebody actually out here willing to fight for them, willing to fight for a better life, willing to stand up and say, hey, I don't always agree with everything, but I'm here to stand up for you. This isn't about Democrats to me. This isn't about independents to me. This isn't about Republicans. This is about we, the people, taking our damn country back. I never write a speech. I always just shoot from the hip because I feel like that's what we need in this world right now. I'm not your run-of-the-mill politicians, if you will. I don't believe in political rhetoric. I do make stupid jokes. But I don't use one-liners either. I think we're past that. I think as people, we need to have somebody that's willing to say what needs to be said because they've lived it. I like to say I have a little bit of street cred on the streets because I know what it's like to watch your family die. I know what it's like to watch your friends fall in drug abuse and alcoholism. And I know how hard this world is for everybody who's trying in this world. And the thing that drives me nuts, it seems like we keep pointing at people and saying they're the problem. Why? We need to start bringing people into the fold and saying, we're here to fight for you. We're here to stand up for you. My name's Nathan Sage. I'm running for the United States Senate because we need somebody to fight. I fought 3 times in Iraq, and I stood up and took my oath on the yellow footprints and said, we're going to keep fighting. That's who I am. That's what I'm trying to do. I appreciate everybody here, and we're going to keep doing this until we take down Ashley Hinton and get that orange idiot out of the White House.
So next up we have Zach Walls. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, good evening, North Iowa Democrats! It is great to be here this evening, and in addition to the beautiful barns, the incredible weather, I love the fact that we have the sound of young children playing. Because the sound of a Democratic Party event without the sound of young children is the sound of a dying Democratic Party. I'm Zach Walls, and I'm running for the United States Senate because I believe we are better than a senator who is just waiting for all of us to die. For those of you who I have not yet had the chance to meet, I am a sixth-generation Iowan. I'm a two-term state senator. I'm a husband, and last year I became a father. Thank you, I appreciate that. I will tell you, I have learned a lot over the last 18 months about how much it costs to be a new parent in this state. And I'm running for the United States Senate because it's not just young parents. Iowans from all walks of life are getting crushed because our state and our country are facing twin crises of out-of-control costs and out-of-control corruption. And those two go hand in hand. Now, we all know that the economy is working great for the people at the very top, but does anybody here think that what billionaires really needed was another tax cut? I didn't think so. The economy is not working for the rest of us, and that is directly tied to the corruption of our political system. And I've seen this corruption firsthand on the inside, and we can all see it happening in Washington, D.C. And we all see the crisis of cost in our own lives, whether it's at the grocery store, or the doctor's office, or the pharmacy, or just like yesterday morning when I dropped my son Elijah off at daycare, and I was reminded that our child care costs almost as much as our mortgage. That is exactly why I have so many friends and peers who are my age, for whom the size of their family is not being determined by how many children they want. It's being determined by how many children they can afford, and that is wrong. We're all getting squeezed while a better future for our kids and our grandkids slips away because politicians like Joni Ernst and Ashley Hinson are bought and paid for, and they side with the special interests every single time. And just look at what has happened. Just look at what has happened since Republicans won this U.S. Senate seat in 2014. During Joni's time in Washington, D.C., Iowa has fallen to dead last in our economy, but number one in rising cancer rates. How many people here know somebody battling cancer right now? Just about every hand going up. Our water is dirtier than ever. Our public schools are falling behind. Joni said that she was going to go to Washington and she was going to make them squeal. I'd say good riddance because Joni Ernst is all squeal and no bacon. That's not how I operate. In the state Senate, I have fought like hell for the things that I believe in, whether that's voting against the attacks on workers' rights and organized labor, because in Iowa, we stand with hardworking families, not the billionaires. I was proud to vote against the 6-week abortion ban in this state because in Iowa, we trust women to make their own health care decisions. And I was also proud to vote against Kim Reynolds' private school voucher scam because in Iowa, we know that public money is for public schools. And I will tell you that in order to fix this broken economy, we have to fix the corruption. And that means that we have to make sure that Ashley Hinson never gets anywhere close to the United States Senate. Because I have seen Ashley Hinson choose between corporate special interests and between the people of Iowa, and she sides with the special interests every single time. I want to tell you a story about Ashley. In 2018, Ashley Hinson and I were both running for the Iowa legislature. I was running for my first term in the Iowa State Senate, and she was running for re-election to the Iowa House of Representatives. During that campaign, she received a $1,000 check from the Iowa Manufactured Housing Association and a $500 check from the president of that association, which represents the landlords and owners of Iowa's mobile home communities and trailer parks all over our state. In 2019, the very next year, my first year in the Iowa Senate, Out-of-state corporations came into Iowa. Some of you may remember this. They started buying mobile home parks and trailer parks across our state, and these companies started jacking up the rent 50, 60, 70% from one month to the next. Think about if your rent or your mortgage went up 70% next month. My constituents had to choose between keeping their home or affording their prescription. They had to decide between having a roof over their heads or being able to afford groceries. I thought that this was absolutely unacceptable, so I took action. I brought Democrats and Republicans together to fight back in the state Senate because some issues actually aren't about left versus right, they are about right versus wrong. We built a coalition and we passed a bill out of the Iowa Senate 48-0 that would have given our neighbors just basic protections from these predatory corporate landlords from out of state. We sent the bill over to the House, and I was told it's a done deal. Don't worry about it. Until I got a text message just a few days later asking me to go over to a closed-door meeting about our bill over in the House. And I will never forget walking into that room. There were a couple of Republican representatives there. There was the lobbyist for the Iowa Manufactured Housing Association and State Representative Ashley Hinson. Ashley was sitting at that table holding our bill, just shaking her head. And the lobbyist was smirking at me because he knew exactly what was going to happen. They didn't care about doing the right thing or protecting vulnerable Iowans. They were just doing the bidding of the big corporate companies who were preying on our neighbors. In 2018, Ashley Hinson took their money, and in 2019, she killed our bipartisan bill. I was on one side of that table, fighting for Iowans. Ashley Hinson was on the other side of that table fighting for the special interests who were funding her campaign. And fundamentally, that is the choice in this election. That's how she's selling us out. And imagine, that's what she was doing when she was still here. Just imagine what she's doing in Washington, D.C., and imagine the harm that she would do in the U.S. Senate. So when I tell you that there is a direct connection between the broken, rigged economy and political corruption, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This corruption is why Iowans are working harder than ever, but can't get ahead. It's forcing people like my constituent and now my dear friend Candy Evans and her neighbors in Gulfview Mobile Home Park, which was one of those communities bought by the corporate landlords. They're being forced to make impossible choices to keep their homes. It's why new parents can't afford childcare. It's why family farms are getting crushed while the big companies make record profits. This corruption and this economy is crushing us, and that is exactly why our campaign refuses to take a dime from corporate PACs, because we have to end the political corruption of corporate money in our politics once and for all. And I'll tell you this. I know that a better future is possible. I know that the way things are is not the way that they have to be, and that in order to fix our broken economy, we have to fix our broken politics, and we have to clean up this corruption. We have a three-part plan to get us started. First, we need to amend the United States Constitution and overturn Citizens United, which is one of the worst decisions to ever come out of the Supreme Court. Second, we have to pass common sense term limits, because in Iowa, we know that rotating the crops is good for our soil, and you better believe it's good for our politicians too. And finally, I get so sick and tired of watching members of Congress like Ashley Hinson get rich trading stocks on inside information while they pass laws that hurt Iowans. It's wrong and it has to stop. I'll tell you, this won't solve every problem, but it is a great place to start. And the good news is we've heard a lot tonight about how we need to be reaching out to voters who may not have been with us in the last election. This message about the twin crises facing our state of a broken economy and corrupt politics, it is resonating across Iowa, in big cities, in small towns, in rural communities, with Democrats and independents and Republicans. That's why a poll last week, and no, it was not done by Ann Seltzer, found that I am the strongest Democrat who was running for this seat, winning more independents and even Trump 2024 voters than any other Democrat in the race. We are building a new coalition that can take on Ashley Hinson or whoever the Republicans nominate in the broken establishment in Washington, and we can win. But in closing, I want to tell you this. We can't do it alone. And that's why I'm asking for your vote. That's why I'm asking for your support. We need you. We need your courage. We need your dedication. We need your passion. And we need your conviction that together we can build an Iowa where anyone who works hard and who plays by the rules can actually make a decent living and get ahead and retire with security and dignity and leave a better future for our children and for our grandchildren. Because I know in my bones there is nothing that is wrong with our state that cannot be fixed by what is right with our state. That's the Iowa that I believe in. That's the Iowa that my wife and I want for our son. That is the future that you deserve, and together that is the future that we can build. My name is Zach Walls. I'm asking for your vote for the U.S. Senate. Thank you all so much. God bless you, and let's get to work.
Wonderful. I have the next opportunity to bring forward Josh Turek, who's a federal Senate candidate as well.
How's that? I think that'll work. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank God for Senator Tom Harkin so that I don't have to push ramps like this all the time with his work with the American Disabilities Act. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to my fellow disabled Iowan, Drew, for the Wartburg shirt, because it's colder than I expected, so go Knights! I am Iowa State Representative Josh Turek. I am the first permanently disabled member of the Iowa legislature. I represent Council Bluffs and Carter Lake. It is the reddest district that is represented by a Democrat on election day. Trump won my county by 20 points. He won the two communities that I represent by double digits. I was able to win by nearly 6%. I know we've had a lot of speakers here, and so I want to be brief and considerate of all their time. I know you've heard a lot of speeches, so I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what my plan is and how we're going to be able to win this race. So I was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Council Bluffs, Iowa is a blue-collar community. 65% of my community is at or below the poverty line. Much like Nathan Sage as well, I grew up in a working-class family. We got our clothes from the Goodwill. I'm here because of a lot of social safety nets, things like vocational rehabilitation, the AEAs. We went to the free summer lunch programs. I understand economic struggle. I'm also, as you can see, I'm visibly disabled. I was born with a condition called spina bifida. This was due to my dad's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. I had my first surgery at 1 day old. I had 21 surgeries by the age of 12, all of which took place at Shriners Hospital University. Shriners Hospital. It was the only way that my family could afford it. Thankfully for me, I found wheelchair basketball at a young age. It really legitimately saved my life. Because of wheelchair basketball and because of vocational rehabilitation, I was able to go on to get a college education. Went to Southwest Minnesota State University, got a bachelor's degree in history, and thankfully played well enough there, played very well there. I actually scored 4,000 career points, so I just barely eked out Caitlin Clark. Proud about that. And was able to have the opportunity to play, thank you. I was able to play professional wheelchair basketball. I played all around the world. And my great accomplishment with wheelchair basketball, the thing that I was the most proud of and was always my goal from day one, is I had the amazing opportunity to represent the United States in 4 Paralympic Games and was ultimately able to win 2 gold medals representing the USA in wheelchair basketball. Thank you. Along the way, for more than 10 years, I've been the director of a nonprofit organization. We provide free summer camps for disabled kids and adaptive sports programs because of the huge impact that it made on my life. There's not enough role models out there in the disabled space and want to be able to give back to them. And when I finished my basketball career, I started working for an organization, and what I was doing is I was assessing and providing wheelchairs for individuals with conditions like muscular dystrophy and ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And What we ended up finding was every single day we were dealing with denial rates and delay rates. And this is because of Iowa's privatization of our Medicaid system. We were showing 1,000% increase in the denial rate. And I thought, this is fundamentally wrong. Why is this happening? Sure enough, then I had found out that we had never had a permanent disabled member in the Iowa legislature. 150-year history of the state, 150 members of the governing body. Meanwhile, we have 1 in 5 Iowans that have some form of disability. Blind, deaf, intellectually disabled, physically disabled. And I thought that is fundamentally wrong. Maybe this is why we're having all these barriers to education and to employment. And I said, as all of us do that get into public service, I said, I'm gonna have to do something about this. You look in the mirror, and so they said, Josh, this is gonna be very, very difficult. You're out in Western Iowa. This is not gonna be easy to win. I did the exact same way that I went out with basketball, which is I'm going to work every single day. And I don't know if any of you have seen my video, but the way that we did it was exactly like that. I went out every single day and I drug my wheelchair up the stairs to go have conversations with Republicans and independents and Democrats. I won my first election by just 6 votes, so never doubt that your vote makes a difference. And then we turned around in this most recent election, and then, like I said, in a county that Trump won by 20 points, and the communities that he won by double digits, we were able to win by nearly 6 points. So why run for U.S. Senate? The first reason was, when I joined the Iowa legislature, as I told you, the reason why I ran was because of the privatization of the Medicaid system. When I joined the Iowa legislature, I asked our leader, I said, I don't care what committees you put me on, but you have to put me on HHS budget policy. So I've been ranking member on HHS budget, which controls Medicaid funding and our healthcare funding. Our Medicaid here in Iowa, now that we've privatized it, is so fundamentally broken and underfunded. We've got 22,000 disabled Iowans that are on wait lists for 7 years. We've closed 31 nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities. The average direct care worker in this state makes $13 an hour. I could go on and on and on. There's not a single dental provider in the state that will take our Medicaid. So then Joni Ernst comes out and says, well, the big beautiful bill comes up. I actually ended up, the day that the legislative session finished, I got in my car and I drove to DC because I wanted to make sure that they could not plead ignorance. So I went up there and I talked to every single member of the Iowa delegation. Well, almost every member. I actually talked face to face with Joni and Grassley, and they said to me directly, face to face, I showed them the documentation. 110,000 Iowans are going to lose their health care. 140 disability organizations are going to lose their funding. All of them had the decency to meet with me. And Joni at least said, oh, we're not going to make these cuts to the 1 in 5 Iowans. Hinson wouldn't even meet with me. Exactly. But when she came out and she said, you know, we're all going to die, and made the smug, condescending apology, I said, I've got to do something about this. And so that's why I'm stepping up to do this. I think that you cannot have a more clear dichotomy or contrast between the individual that grew up on these social safety nets with the visible disability that has worked for this in their for-profit and nonprofit work, and certainly in the legislature, versus just the individuals like Hinson, like Joni Ernst, that is just, well, we're all going to die, good luck, as we give tax breaks to large corporations and billionaires. It's just frankly wrong. Here are the things that I will promise you that I will work for as your United States Senator. The first is a livable wage. We are going to raise the minimum wage. 2% of Iowans are still making minimum wage in this state. We are going to fight for affordable, accessible health care. Health care is a human right. And along with health care, if I'm a U.S. Senator, we are going to codify Roe, because a part of health care is women's reproductive rights. We are going to fight for affordable, accessible pharmaceuticals as well.
Yeah.
Because no one should be making the determination in the richest country on earth, do I pay my bills, do I pay my electric bill, or do I take my medication? It's fundamentally wrong. And we are going to finally do something to address the water quality crisis in this state, and additionally, what is directly related, the cancer crisis rate here in this state. I've gone too long, so I'm just going to give you two quick anecdotes. On the cancer situation, I will tell you that this is something that's touched us all. I know if we were to ask how many people are having issues with cancer, every single one of us in this state knows someone. I can tell you that I lost my grandmother to pancreatic cancer. My father, due to his exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam, he's had throat cancer, he's had skin cancer. Nearly the day that I announced to run for this race, I found out that my sister had stage 2 breast cancer. And to give you a direct example of how fundamentally wrong our healthcare system is, she is someone that has been working. She has private insurance. So she's one of these individuals that says, great, I'm taken care of. She found out from her private insurance, sorry, you only have stage 2 breast cancer. So not stage 3 or stage 4. So she could not even qualify to get the PET scan done unless she paid $30,000. This is what is wrong with our healthcare system, and that's too many people do not have healthcare, or they're underinsured or lack of insurance. Our Medicaid system is fundamentally underfunded as well. Healthcare is a human right. That's what we are going to fight for. I'm going to end with this. I am only here because of the great Senator Tom Harkin. For 30 years, Iowa, we had the ability to have the great Senator Tom Harkin, who was fighting for individuals like me. His work on for those of you that don't know, 30 years our senator, the father of the American with Disabilities Act. Had it not been for his work, I would have never had the opportunities to even have ramps, sidewalk cutouts, the economic opportunities, the educational opportunities, the occupational opportunities. I am only here because of his work. Iowans deserve to once again have a senator that is fighting for Iowans, fighting for the people, fighting for the middle class, fighting for social and economic justice, fighting for the most vulnerable, and fighting for social safety nets like Medicare, like Medicaid, and like Social Security, and not just looking out for billionaires and large corporations. I'm Josh Turek. I'm running for the United States Senate for Iowa to once again have a senator fighting for Iowans. Please go to please go to my website, Turek4Iowa.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Now we are glad to have a representative from Jackie Norris's campaign. Come on up.
Mic check. We good out there? Hey, thank you very much. My name is John Norris. My wife, Jackie Norris, is one of the U.S. Senate. She had every intention of being here tonight, and believe me, she will be up here soon. But she got the call this week that she had to go check her father into a nursing home. So it's been a tough week, and I know you understand that, and that's the only reason she's not with you here tonight. It is sadly central also to her message about running for the U.S. Senate, and that's the whole care provider economy that's failing us. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But I want to let you know that she sends her best wishes and looks forward to getting up here and seeing you. This is my first time actually going out and speaking on her behalf. She's probably a little bit worried right now what the hell I'm going to say. But I'll try not to get her in too much trouble. First of all, I want to thank the organizers and Gail and everyone who put this on. This is just fabulous. So give yourself a hand. And give all yourselves credit. I mean, I've been a candidate. All these candidates that are here tonight, how much we appreciate all that you do to keep our party strong to fight for our democracy, which truly is what we're fighting for these days. So thank you. And I also want to thank all the candidates. It is a lot to put your name out there. It takes courage, it takes sacrifice, and so I know you appreciate all the things that the candidate is going through as well. So we're a team on this. And I want to just say how much we appreciate the volunteers and people who are putting this on and getting involved in all the campaigns. So my job is not to give you the raw red meat speech tonight, is to tell you about Jackie Norris, and I hope you'll give her a chance to get up here and meet you and talk to her. She is a mom on a mission. We have 3 sons. 2 serve in the U.S. military. One's at the West Point Academy in the U.S. Army. His brother is at the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado. And I just had lunch with my 3rd son, who's a sophomore at Grinnell College, on the way up here. So she is truly a mom on a mission, not just for her children, but for all children. Jackie, I should have mentioned, she gets a lot of her willpower and her commitment from her parents. Her dad was a retired school teacher, public school teacher. Her mom's a retired public school nurse. She is incredibly dedicated to public education. She was a public school teacher as well. She started teaching in the Perry Community Schools. She won a national award for one of the top American government teachers across the country. And she actually taught a lot about the Constitution. Now, wouldn't it be amazing to have a U.S. Senator who actually had read the Constitution? They could use a teacher in the U.S. Senate to teach quite a few of those folks about the U.S. Constitution. She left teaching. She thought it was going to be temporarily to work for candidate Obama's campaign. And she ran Barack Obama's campaign in Iowa. Now, I was just telling someone the story earlier. I'll never forget the night we were coming back from Mason City. It was a post-election event. And she got the call from the president-elect, who handed the phone to the incoming First Lady, Michelle Obama, who asked Jackie to be her chief of staff in the White House. So we went, we had 3 young sons. We weren't planning on going to Washington, D.C., but how do you say no when you get asked to serve like that? Because we come from a family of service, as you can tell with our sons and our parents. It was a wonderful experience. Jackie went from there to be the senior advisor to the Corporation of National Service, where she helped with the VISTA and AmeriCorps programs. She went from there to the Points of Light Institute, actually helping the institute that the Bush family founded to help promote volunteerism. She put together the most significant ever corporate volunteerism program across America and ran that for the Points of Light Institute. When we moved back to Iowa, I actually had a great opportunity to probably make more money in this Iowa farm kid everybody can make in Washington, and she asked me, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm kind of 5149 staying here. And she said, well, hell, if you're 5149 staying here, we're going back to Iowa. And she became the CEO of Goodwill, where she took on, she had a great corporate board, but there were board members a lot from corporate Iowa. And she insisted and won the battle to increase the minimum wage for all Goodwill employees to $15 an hour. That was 7 years ago. When we were talking about doing that across the country and in Iowa, no one had the courage, but she took it on and made that change. That's her commitment to lifting people up. She then ran for the Des Moines School Board. She currently serves as the chairperson of the Des Moines Public Schools. And she put in her first year the language for collective bargaining to make sure that the non-mandatory items were part of the bargaining for teachers in the Des Moines school system. So She has a passion and a history of not just for public service and public education, but Jackie Norris, I wasn't going to curse either, but since Julie Stouch said it, Jackie Norris gets shit done. She has a lifetime of accomplishment that I believe make her an outstanding candidate and will make her an outstanding U.S. Senator. She, as I mentioned, she's a small business owner now, and one of her largest projects is to promote after-school care programs for kids across Iowa. She sees firsthand how underpaid the most important people to her in our economy are. The people taking care of our children and the people taking care of our parents. And when they have to work 2 jobs and they have to suffer economically to provide such an important service to our society, it is fundamentally wrong, and we have got to change that. I won't go too much into Ashley Hinson. You all are probably a little bit too familiar with her than you want to be. But when she launched her campaign about being Donald Trump's #1 ally, Jackie Norris is already, and you will hear it till we beat her next November. She is Iowans' #1 ally, and that's what our U.S. Senator should be. And, well, thank you. And this healthcare system, she understands the impact these cuts to Medicaid are going to do to not just the people losing healthcare, but our entire healthcare infrastructure. The rural hospitals, when they go away, it's not just going away to serve those folks who should be getting Medicaid. They go away for servicing all of us. It's devastating to rural Iowa. And she's going to point out that they try to make this about an urban-rural divide. This is about a have and have not divide. And this is about economic justice. And this is why she's running for the U.S. Senate. She has a lifetime of accomplishments that will gain the trust of Iowans. And when Jackie Norris campaigns, she's a little different than me, probably better, a lot better. It's not that she doesn't feel she needs to tell them, doesn't tell them what they need to hear. Jackie Norris, amongst everything else, is a listener. And she believes we need to listen to what they have to say. And if you start there, you can begin to change the direction of people's minds. A conversation not about red and blue, but a conversation about our future. So I hope you'll check her out. There's some cards back there. I'll be happy to hang around for a while and hand them out. Thank goodness for Jim Davis, who's running our petition drive up here, and there's petitions out there. Please, she'll be up here to meet with you all. Jackie.com, and she is a mom on a mission, and we're going to take back the U.S. Senate. Thank you.
We have our 6th raffle. Please get your tickets out. Fingers crossed. This is from the purple pineapple in Denver.
Because I can see the second congressional
Okay, we
district.
have 4, 4, 5, 7, 9. I'm sorry. The last 3 digits are 4, 9, 8. So it's 4, 4, 5, 7, 4, 9, 8. Wonderful. We'll bring you down. We'll put you over there.
Thank you. I can see all of that.
I don't know what to say about y'all, but damn, you're generous. Okay, the reason I say that, you know, I got the bucket again, because I know I feel like I'm being greedy.
Yes.
We are $195 short of $5,000 to split for our candidates. We're just looking at, you know, we do this thing, yes, I go to church. We do this thing at church, it's called the noisy offering, where the kids come around and people put all their change in or whatever they got in their pocket. You suppose we could come up with that $195 with our change or whatever you could throw in here? That would be fantastic. And I would like to just mention one more thing. I know India said 473 days and then we have our election. We have another election before that. It is June 2nd. And the people you're hearing tonight are all vying for the same position, many of them. And they're going to count on your vote to put them on the ballot in November. So we need you to turn out in June to get the best candidate possible to represent us for our Senate and for our House on the federal level. It's going to be a hard choice. You've heard them. They are all flipping fantastic people. So you have to decide which one you think is going to do the best job for you. But if you don't vote, you won't have a say. So June 2nd is also super important for us to turn out for. Okay? So bless you all for, first of all, coming out to this. This has been a fantastic night. We have 400 people here, which in itself is like amazing. And your generosity again. We are caring people, and I know this of you. So I appreciate you for that, but so thank you for coming. But I also wanted to show you one more thing. See this beautiful shirt? These are our Chickasaw County Democrat shirts. So if you're from Chickasaw County, let's hear something. Are you in Chickasaw? Okay. Shirts are in there. If you want to have this styling thing for you to wear, please go in and visit our booth. We also have two style of ray gun shirts. We're all gonna die is one of them. And the other one is, I'm here for the Ipers. So we also have buttons from Ray Gun. So if you are interested in any of those things, they are also in the barn. But again, I can't thank you enough for coming out tonight and supporting these people, because that's the only way we're gonna go forward is with you. So thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah.
Hang tight again. We have 3 great speakers left. So we're going to welcome up to the stage Kathy Stotler. Come on up, Kathy. Kathy is running for federal House candidate.
Okay, hi, I'm Kathy Dolcher. I'm an American, I'm an Iowan, I'm a veteran, retired Army Nurse Corps Lieutenant Colonel. I'm an educator, I'm a leader, an innovator, and a doer. I started a research-based healthcare program to improve the quality of care for veterans and service members, started nursing programs at the University of Dubuque and at Mount Mercy University. I was Dean of Nursing at Kirkwood Community College for 10 years. I'm a non-politician, real person. My first jobs working through college were nursing assistant, dishwasher, fast food worker, shipping clerk in a factory, and ski waitress. I'm a Dubuquer. I'm the second of 7 kids. My mom was a homemaker. My dad was the first of all the 10 kids in his family to attend college. My one grandpa worked at the John Deere factory in Dubuque, the other was a butcher. I have 2 uncles who worked at the Dubuque Pack. Among my other uncles, a mailman, a milkman, a priest, a hospital janitor, and an insurance salesman. So I'm a real person. People ask me, why am I running for Congress? I'm running for Congress because I am a nurse. I can't stand by while people are suffering. I need to do something. And the people of Iowa are suffering. The poor, the disabled, the immigrant, the homeless, the veterans. What is so weird to me is that the Iowa Republican congressional delegation does not seem to know that the big bad bill, the DOGE cuts, and the Trump tariff tax are hurting real Iowans. An Iowa Republican Party that is currently led by, we are all going to die, Joni Ernst, and missing in action, Ashley Hinson, who played the fiddle at her campaign kickoff while Iowa burns. With its failing educational rankings, lack of a living wage for families, and the second highest incidence of new cancers. Impending health care cuts for working families and the elderly.
So I'm running against whomever, missing in action Republican, they may find, so that we can stop the suffering the Republican Party has caused and make America America again. By fixing the House of Representatives in 2026 so we can take care of regular Iowans. So here's my top 10 list of things to do as a congressperson. I said top 30 list. This is the top 10. Number 1, repeal the big bad bill. Ensure the Medicaid benefits of the disabled, the sick, and the poor workers and the elderly in nursing homes. And to restore SNAP benefits to hungry families. Number 2, stop the Trump tariff tax, which is the biggest tax increase on the American people since 1993. It's hurting small and large Iowa businesses. It's hurting Iowa workers. John Deere is already laying off over 200 workers. It's hurting Iowa farmers, who now have to look for new markets because old markets for commodities have been wrecked, and will hurt Iowa families to the tune of $1,300 to $2,400 per year. Number 3, protect democracy, to shore up the Voter Rights Act, to prevent gerrymandering, to support a no King's Amendment to the Constitution, to prevent presidential abuse of executive orders and declarations of emergency, because I don't want any president acting like a king in America. And to implement campaign finance reform, because corporations are not people too. Number 4, increase the current cruelly insufficient federal poverty level. A family of 4 living on $32,000 a year? You've got to be kidding me. And the minimum wage of $7.25 that it hasn't been raised in decades. Number 5, halt the deportation of immigrants who are the engines of our economy plan, to include a strong border, a path to citizenship for law-abiding immigrants, and visa reform to ensure farms and businesses have the people they need to make them competitive. Number 6, improve health care by, number 1, immediately impeaching Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is making America sick again through his destruction of immunization programs and vaccine disinformation, which will lead to the illnesses and deaths of Americans and others around the globe. And by number 2, reforming our broken and expensive health care system. Americans pay more and get less for health care than any other nation on earth. I would work to shore up Medicare, Medicaid, the VA health care systems, and work to expand Medicaid to all women of childbearing age and children through age 18 as a first step toward universal health care. Number 7, end public school voucher programs. Public education is the cornerstone of our democracy, and we need to support our public education system and value and support our teachers. Number 8, break up the ag monopolies and implement the J.D. Scholten 11-point ag plan. Number 9, support the reinvigoration of our small town main streets that are dying. Our small towns in Iowa and America need a public school, a post office, a hospital, and a grocery store. So besides supporting public education and Medicaid, I would work to provide further support to rural hospitals, prevent the privatization of the post office, and work to support rural grocery stores to prevent rural food deserts. Number 10, restore diplomacy, because diplomacy prevents wars by rebuilding and fully funding USAID and the State Department. Because we need that funding to build friendships across the globe, not make war. Yes. Now, I have more things that are part of my top things to do to get done to prevent suffering as your congressperson. Keep the government out of our bedrooms. Ensure that a woman's health is between a woman and her doctor. Stop the funding of wars and conflicts that do not follow the Geneva Conventions because Americans do not kill women and children, medical personnel, and journalists. Prevent the incarceration of the homeless and mentally ill, because homelessness and mental illness are not crimes. And finally, fund and staff our local police departments and keep your National Guard in your own dang state. Thank you very much. And stop the illegal federalization of the Guard for local law enforcement purposes. Republicans are always on message. They always say fraud, waste, and abuse for every program that supports the poor and the needy. We Democrats have got to get it together. When they say fraud, waste, and abuse, we have to say cost of living increases, cruelty, corruption, and contempt for the Constitution. I am a critical thinker. I have common sense. I believe in research and data and science. I go to church and I can tell when politics are cruel and against all religious teaching. I'm a hard worker, I have a track record of getting things done, and I am not for sale. I know cruelty and corruption when I see it. I can see when the emperor has no clothes, and I have no trouble telling him that. I have and will speak truth to power. I will fight to prevent the suffering of real Iowans by fighting for a living wage and the health care, education, and rights of all Iowans in America. So I ask you to elect me to the U.S. House of Representatives in 2026 so we can take back Congress, stop the Republican billionaire boys club machine, and make America America again. We can't let our democracy die. So we've all got to get involved, and you're all involved by just being here. But we can also make sure to get involved in our county and the Iowa Democratic Party. And we got it, Indivisible is doing great work. There is another No Kings rally coming up on October 18th. Let's all be there, right? We don't want no stinking kings, right? That's right. And we got to accompany immigrants during their ICE check-ins on the first Tuesday of the month. There's one in Cedar Rapids, and that's every Tuesday. And I went there this past week, and I just couldn't stop crying to see those families who were living in fear, and as they went to their check-in, and luckily only 3 families, most of the families when I was there, they all came back with one more year that they were allowed, but to live in fear of being deported and separating from your family. So also remember, you know so well, right, that all parties and campaigns run on donations and volunteers. So call me Cup of Coffee Kathy, because isn't it worth the price of a cup of coffee to prevent suffering, save democracy, and fight together for Iowa and real Iowans? Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Kathy. Our next speaker is Lindsay James, also running for the federal House. Come on up, Lindsay.
Friends, how are we doing out there? I see some blankets coming out. I was kind of, good, we're doing okay. I was just kind of dancing around over there because I'm a little chilly, but I'm so glad to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay James. I'm a state representative out of Dubuque, and very excited to be with you today. Before I really get into this, I wanted to share a story with you that has impacted the way in which I see the world, our state, our country. I'm out knocking doors. It was my very first election, and I'm out knocking doors, and I am bright-eyed and ready to go. I am so hopeful and so excited. And you know, when you go out and knock doors, how many of you have knocked doors? Yes, I love this group. You guys are fantastic. So I'm out knocking doors. You know what it's like. You know, you're out and you look at your list and you try to find a name, and then you get up at the door and you knock, and you never know, is this the person that I have on my sheet? Or I'm going to meet a family member with a different political persuasion, whatever it may be. Well, I see a house that I'm supposed to knock at, and a van comes up and parks in the driveway, and some kids pour out, and a dad pours out, and they have all this, soccer equipment. They were out on the field, and it was perfect. I started walking quickly up to the driveway, and I waved to him, and I said, hello, hello, and he caught my eye, and he said, no. No. If you're a Democrat, I don't want anything to do with you. I was a little taken off guard, right? I'm the first time doing door knocking and campaigning. And I said, okay, yep, I get it. I'm in your driveway, right? And so I handed him my piece of literature and I said, well, listen, if I'm your next representative in the state house, if you ever struggle or are having an issue, please just call me because I want to help. And then I said to him, and you can also call me if you just want to set me straight. And at that moment, he got a little smirk on his face, and he said, well, okay, since you're here, let me just set you straight right now. So we actually had a really incredible conversation about his life. And he shared with me the fact that he had worked 2 jobs most of his life. And that even now, he felt like he was working harder and harder than ever before. And he still just couldn't get ahead. And then he said something changed in his life. He said, then my kids came into the picture. And I really, really felt like I can't give them the life that they deserve. And I said to him, well, what is it that's, we talked about the barriers to that, and it was his financial realities. And I said to him, well, what's the financial security for you? And he said, financial security for me is being able to afford Happy Joe's Pizza twice a year for my kids' birthdays. Happy Joe's Pizza for his kids' birthdays. That was the dream. That was stability. And I started to have conversation after conversation where I realized folks are making impossible choices in their everyday lives. So now I want you to remember this story. Fast forward, I get elected. It's my first day on the job in the Iowa Capitol. And I'm getting walked around the rotunda. How many of you have been out in the rotunda of the state capitol? Yes. Oh my God, you guys are my favorites. You're amazing. When you're there this upcoming year, come send in a note for me. I'd love to connect with you and share and talk about all of the campaign in our state. So I'm at the first day of the Capitol, and I'm walking around the rotunda. Someone's introducing me to the lobbyists for the big pharmaceutical companies, and then they're introducing me to the lobbyists for the big insurance companies, and then they're introducing me to the lobbyists for this big corporation and that big corporation. And I start to look around, and I start to wonder, well, where are the lobbyists and the advocates for people like my constituent, who just simply wants to be able to have a birthday party for his kids and give them pizza, right? Who is the advocate for those who are pushed aside and on the margins, right? Who are the advocates for everyday Iowans in our state who are stuck making impossible choices like, do I pay my rent, or do I pay for my life-saving medication? Do I pay my utility bill, or do I buy my child a winter coat? Iowans who are stuck in economic realities and under incredible economic strain that are making these impossible choices. Where are those advocates? And then I had a deepening sense of call. That is me, and that is you. And that is every single one of us together as Democrats. We are there to fight for those who need help and who are being pushed aside. Right now, what's happening in Washington, D.C., right? People who have all the power are looking the other way, who are turning their backs on everyday Iowans. Not anymore. Who is ready for some change? So you may have heard that Ashley Hinson got a little spooked because she decided she's not going to run against me anymore. She's going to go ahead and run against some of the amazing Democratic candidates that are running for Senate. Well, good luck, Ashley Hinson. That's what I got to say about that. Now, how many of you have heard the rumors of who is thinking about running? Anyone? Yes, Anyone heard the name Rod Blum before? Thank you. I do love this group. You guys are my favorite. All-time favorite. You're right, Rod Blum. There's some other legislators and Republicans that are jumping in the race. But whoever they are, we know this, that the reckless policies coming out of DC right now are hurting Iowans. Every single day, working families are getting eviscerated by these policies. In this congressional district alone, this big, beautiful bill, which we know is only beautiful for billionaires, yeah? Am I right? Yes. We know that bill, that there are 27,000 Iowans in this second congressional district who are at risk of losing their health care. I'm hearing from medical professionals who are saying we will have to, in rural parts of our state, have to close our doors if we lose this funding, if we lose folks, who are struggling to afford insurance, going without, right? The implications of this, but this is not just healthcare. I'm talking to farmers who are under incredible strain because the ag economy is so uncertain and so volatile right now. I'm talking to business folks who are saying we cannot recruit and retain young people and young talent in our state any longer. Iowa is in the top 10 for population drain. We are the 49th for the economy. We have diminishing water quality, continual diminishing water quality, high cancer rates. I mean, you've heard this all, right? Deeply struggling, and the policies that are happening in Washington, D.C. at the state capitol are causing so much harm to our state. Well, enough is enough. It is time for change. Now, I want to tell you two more stories. I met a mom at the state capitol who had to make an impossible choice. Thank you. An impossible choice. I've got 2 more minutes. I've got so many stories because I've been running around this district for so many years listening to folks. And this is what she said to me. She has a child, a young child in middle school, who was not able to receive the kind of mental health care that they needed. And she was trying to make this impossible choice. Do I keep my child in my home with his family, with his mom and dad and his siblings? Do I keep him in our home without the mental health care that he needs? Or do I send him all alone to another state where he can receive the health care that he needs? That is an impossible choice. That is an impossible choice. Last story. The day after I announced my campaign, I received a local paper on my doorstep. Comes every week, but this time it was different. It had in big Sharpie marker written on the top of it, "You have my vote." This was the day after I announced, and my husband brought it into me, and I just was so thrilled about this because this campaign is not about me. It's not even about Democrats or Republicans, right? This campaign is about you. It's about us. It's about the man who drops off our neighborhood paper once a week to my door. It's about the mom who's making these impossible choices about mental health care for her kids. It's about the teacher who's paying for classroom supplies out of their own budget, right? There are so many people struggling with these impossible choices, and we have an opportunity to say enough. And so, yes, thank you. Now is the time. We are the team, and I am so excited to work alongside of you to flip this seat. So thank you so much for letting me be here. I can't wait to meet you.
Great. Okay, our last speaker we have is a representative from the campaign, Clint Tweetball, who is also running for federal house. Welcome up. Thank you.
evening, everyone. My name is Jack Hofstadter, and I'm here on behalf of Clint Tweedball, who's running for Congress in this newly opened seat for Congress in our 2nd Congressional District. For those of you who don't know Clint, he is a United Methodist pastor and founder of Matthew 25, which is a nonprofit in Cedar Rapids dedicated to giving hope to people in struggling neighborhoods. Clint really wanted to be here tonight, but he had a long-standing family obligation, but he's really excited to get up here very soon and wanted me to say a few words on his behalf. There are a couple things you should know about Clint. Clint started Matthew 25 against the advice of many of those around him because he wanted to focus his ministry on uplifting people who needed a helping hand. And when the floods hit Cedar Rapids in 2008 and left so many people feeling like their lives had been shattered, Clint started organizing. And one of the things that he did was get people together to put flower pots on street corners that had a little sign in them that said, "Cultivating Hope." And then he went on to build that hope, and he organized thousands of volunteers to go into neighborhoods and raise millions of dollars, and ultimately helped hundreds of people to go back into homes that they never thought they were going to live in again. It was truly a monumental effort. He mobilized another large cleanup after the 2020 derecho, and he has created ongoing programs to build affordable housing and expand access to healthy food. Clint knows from this work that so many people are in a tough place right now. Families are having to make hard choices because they have paychecks that aren't keeping up with rising prices. And many farmers who have worked so hard for this beautiful crop we have in the ground are still going to have a tough year because of high costs of fertilizer and machinery and other inputs, and low prices for commodities driven in part by across-the-board tariffs that have made it harder to sell our crops around the world. And all these institutions that we care about seem to be under attack. And our leaders, instead of doing something about these problems, they passed that so-called Big Beautiful Bill that's going to take away health care from 27,000 people here in Northeast Iowa. It's going to put pressure on our hospitals, on nursing homes, and on programs that make sure people have healthy food to eat. And it's going to increase the debt by over $3 trillion. And it's doing all of this to pay for a massive tax cut for the richest people in this country. That bill, it literally has a provision in it that gives a tax break for buying a new private jet. It's not right. And these problems, they make me so angry and frustrated. But one of the things I love about Clint is he has this boundless, almost ridiculous optimism that we can do better. We can have affordable housing. We can have clean water here in Iowa. We can have great schools for every kid to go to. We can have quality health care for everyone. And we can have a politics that is built on respect and trust. We just need leaders who want to get that done. And time again, Clint has been the one who has picked up the pieces after a storm. He knows how to channel that optimism into bringing people together and solving real problems for real people. He's done it for his community in Cedar Rapids, and he's going to do it again as our next congressman. Thank you.
I believe we have one more drawing, and since some people have already left, your odds have greatly increased, right? I'm going to keep drawing. 3 drawings. We have honey from Moxie Acres Honey Farm in Reedland. The first one is 4457418. And you know that last 3 digits, 418. All right. Here's one at 4457496. Okay. All right, next we have 4457493. Yay, that one over there, okay. Now 4457410. All right. 4457424. No. Okay. How about this? Who has their birthday coming up next? Anybody got a birthday? There's one there. I see that. Yep, we recognize. Who else has a birthday in this month? Over here? Okay, we'll go over here because they raised it first, over there. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for this wonderful event. Thank you again to our host. This is a wonderful place. I've never been out before. Truly a wonderful evening. Gail, if you want to come up and say a few words before we wrap it up, and truly thank you. Oh, is Rita here? I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't see Rita. Rita Hart is here. Come on up, Rita.
Okay, before our keynote.
Okay, you ready? Over 5,200 without all the change. You guys are spectacular. I can't believe it at all. And our candidates are like, as they should be, because your generosity is just boundless. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That wasn't even a goal, but we were so close, we thought we'd try. So thanks for coming forth. Yay! And thanks for being here. Thanks, Gail. Let's give Gail a really big round of applause for being the organizer here, right? And I want to give a shout out, and I promise you, I know it's cold out there. I am freezing. We're all ready to go, so I'm going to make it as short, sweet, and to the point. But I'm so happy that you are all here, and I think we have to give ourselves a round of applause for being here and being enthusiastic and listening to these great candidates. We're having a great night tonight. It was a wonderful event. I especially want to make sure that we are recognizing the Bremer County Chair, the Chickasaw County Chair, the Floyd County Chair, and the Butler County Chair for pulling this event together. This is what I want to say to you tonight. We are moving ahead in Iowa. Democrats have got some energy, and we're going to keep it going. It's really amazing to me how many candidates we already have, how many candidates that are coming out of the woodwork, and the question obviously is why. And I think the reason is clear. Democrats understand what's at stake. They understand how important the election is in 2026. They understand that it's going to take all of us to step up, to speak up, and to show up, right? And we've been doing that. We've been doing that all over the state. We've been showing up at the rallies, at the protests, and at the offices of our congressional representatives and saying we need better representation. And these candidates are stepping up and showing us that that is going to happen. You'll have to excuse me because, you know, I'm wearing this hat and I'm looking a little bit funny. When I walked in, I had sunglasses on and a couple of people said, "Are you traveling incognito?" And I said, "No, what I'm doing is I was knocking doors today, right? Because I have a brother, Frank Ridinghouse from Floyd County, who's running for supervisor there, and he's going to win that special election. And we're going to keep the momentum going. We won a special election in Clinton County, and we've overperformed in these special elections every time. It's going to take good candidates, lots of organization. It looks like it might rain. Let's go. Let's go get it done.